Hello everyone, I am Carmen Alana Tibbetts and I'm coming to you from the Ogoja Art Studio. I had to tape this video because of internet issues and probably because everyone's staying and working from home. Everybody's uploading and downloading video at the same time. So this time I had to record it. It's a little bit different, but that's okay. This is not the recording setup I usually use, but for consistency, I thought I would go ahead and use my laptop to record. So this is going to be session 4 of creativity from almost nothing. And we're going to be talking about paying attention today. What does that mean? If you are a creative person, we have been fostering those skills, paying attention to the world around us. And if you're a beginner and you want to be more creative, often this is something that you don't have as much practice with. And it's something that not a lot of, say, science or art classes start out with. Say, okay, this is one of the things you need to do. And it is one of the things that you need to do. So sometimes beginners say, well, I don't know what to write about, or I don't know what to draw, or, I want to make something and I don't know where to start. And they say, well, I don't know anything about line or color or shape. And part of the issue here is that they're not looking at the world around them, and they're not seeing that everything that you really need to start with, we were talking about inspiration yesterday, everything that you need to start something is out there. It's already all out there. You just have to notice it, and to notice something, you have to pay attention to what you are seeing. And this is something that we just don't do every day. So you don't notice what you see in the everyday because everything becomes this sort of average experience. We get up, we have a routine, we eat breakfast, we go to work, we come home, we eat dinner, we watch TV, whatever. It's the same thing pretty much every day with slight variations. Maybe it's a different TV show, maybe it's a different breakfast cereal, but the routine is the same. And you just fall into that groove, right? We all talk about being in a rut. Part of the issue here from an artistic and creative point of view is that you just sort of go through the motions, right? You know that not that much is going to change, so you don't have to think about it. And the big key when you're learning how to be a more creative person is thinking about it, right? So you actually have to look at that breakfast cereal. As you're driving to work, you need to look at the environment around you. As you are at work doing something, look at the things that are on your desk. Right now, I'm looking at my table and you can't see it, but it's a total mess. I have piles of things. I have fabric over here. I have all kinds of tools over here. I have notes and my writing implements. And the thing is that, okay, one, it's a mess, but it's also a collection of shapes and colors and words and all of these different sorts of things. And you have to learn how to look at that pile of stuff and really notice it. Notice the things that are sitting next to one another. Notice, do they make any noises? How do they smell? What does it feel like? What are you really seeing? And then when you start to notice, you start to remember more of these details. And that's a very important skill. So I read one time somewhere, I don't remember where because I don't have the greatest memory anymore. There was a portrait artist who said that every face is beautiful. And that's not what we think of when we think of the average person. You look out into a crowd of people, maybe there's 1,000 people at a sporting event, which we're not going to right now, or a parade, or you look at everybody in your family, right? And you see these faces every day, and you don't think that they're particularly beautiful or wonderful. I mean, maybe you do, but aesthetically, we have this high standard of what something is supposed to be beautiful. When we're thinking about making a portrait from someone's face, and you're like, well, I would never get a portrait done because I'm not very attractive. But from an artist's perspective, every face is a collection of wonderful things. You have all of these angles. You have the texture of the hair, of the skin, the different kinds of parts of the body, the flesh versus the teeth versus your eyelashes. You have all of those lines and shadows. This collection of things is what makes every face beautiful. So it's a different way of seeing the world. And that's something that we have to work on every day. We don't want to do it because it takes time. It's a different way of thinking, right? So what you need to learn how to do is shift perspective. Now, this is something that we have all done, so we don't realize that that's what we're doing when we do it. So let's say, for example, you've gone off on vacation. And again, that's not something that very many of us are doing right now because we're all stuck at home. But think about how you feel when you come home, you open the door, you walk into your living room, and you're like, wow, this place looks different. You know, it's the same living room that you left 1 or 2 weeks before, sometimes maybe just a long weekend, but you're looking at it and you're seeing the light coming in the window from a different way. You see maybe there's spots on the carpet that you hadn't noticed before. You're looking at the couch and you're like, wow, I really hate that upholstery, or that color is really weird. Why do I have the furniture arranged like this, right? All of those things have been there before, but you never really saw it. You weren't paying attention. And so going away, reset your brain and your eyes. So now you see this from a different point of view. It's like you're a different person. Hey, you are a little bit different because you've had all of these other experiences elsewhere, and you're coming back here and you see this and you're like, huh, okay. What you want to do as an artist is learn how to foster that shift in perspective, to be able to look at something with that critical eye. Okay, that's what it means, to look at something with a critical eye, that you are actually seeing it. You are analyzing it. You are looking at all of the details and thinking about how they all work together. Excuse me. So we do this on a short term also. Let's say that your mother-in-law calls you up and she says, okay, I'm coming over in 15 minutes. And you're like, oh crap, what am I going to do? You look at the house, the kitchen, the bathroom, and you say, okay, these are the things that I need to do right now. I need to clean this, get all the dirty clothes, throw them away, gather up all the dog toys, take the dog fur off the couch, whatever it is. So you've been sitting there, maybe you were munching away on snacks, watching TV, and everything was normal, the everyday sort of experience. But now you had this event that shifted your perspective, and you are seeing this environment from somebody else's point of view. Okay? So that's another way to learn how to pay attention. Think about your environment, whether it's something that you see, something that you hear, maybe it's things that you're touching, and think, well, what would somebody else be experiencing? That's an easy way to start learning to pay attention, to think about it from somebody else's point of view, okay? Now, I don't know if any of you remember a few years ago, maybe a few months, again, I have a bad memory. There was a study that came out that children who read books are more empathetic. And there's a reason for that, because as you read, you are placing yourself into another environment, another world. You are building that world in your mind, but you are also viewing that world from somebody else's point of view. The author has created characters and this environment, and the author is describing the character's interaction with that environment from the character's point of view, not from your point of view, but from somebody else's point of view. So as you read a story, you are moving through some set of experiences from someone else's point of view. So you have shifted perspective without even realizing it. And so often the best stories, the ones that we like the most, are the ones that are able to shift us most successfully and allow us to see the world from an entirely different point of view. Maybe the world itself is different, but the description of that world is also different. Okay, so this is a way that we very consciously shift perspective, because we choose what book we're going to read. We're looking at all of the titles on the shelf, and you're like, oh, well, the Narnia books, Lord of the Rings, Little Women, let's see, Gone with the Wind. And then we choose which perspective. Do we want historical fiction? Do we want science fiction? Do we want a mystery, right? So that's a way for us to pay attention in a different sort of way, That's what you're doing, and that's what you need to learn how to do by yourself as you are interacting with the world. So it doesn't matter whether you want to be a painter or a writer, you want to learn how to draw, you want to learn how to stitch. You have to be able to look at something with a new set of eyes and look at all of those details that are there in front of you. Okay? So our exercise for today for homework is about copying. And I'm not going to go into all of the legal issues with copying. That's not what I'm talking about here. So far, up until this point, we've had lots of simple exercises, and I hope that you are doing the exercises. If you are not, do the homework. It's simple, but it works. Each one of these exercises builds on the previous one. Okay, so if you are just watching the video for the first time today and you haven't seen any of the others in the series, please do go back, start from number 1, and do the homework as you go through, because each one builds upon what we've done previously. We're doing simple things now, but it's going to get a little more complex next week. Okay, so what I want you to do for this homework exercise is practice copying. And it's another way of paying attention, even if it's something super simple. So what I'm going to have you do is copy something that was posted in the homework assignments from the previous exercises, which are really simple drawings of lines and curves, just little collections of lines and curves. But the thing is, if you want to copy what somebody else did before, you really have to look at it, right? You have to look at, well, how many lines are there? What angle is this person using? Are they using different colors? Is this line thicker? Is this line thinner, right? So even though it's something really simple, just a little square full of lines or dashes, if I ask you to copy it, you have to look at it. And that's something different than just, looking at it. Okay, so you have to really see it. You have to pay attention. Okay, so for the homework for today, for session 4, I want you to go back and look at some of the things that people have posted for the homeworks number 1, 2, and 3. And there's 2 things I want you to do. And if you are stitching, I want you to do the drawing ones also, because it's a little bit faster to do that. So I want you to choose a set of lines and curves that somebody else has done, not your own work, something that somebody else has done. And I've posted the most, so you may be posting something for me. Although there was somebody who posted a whole bunch of stuff, which is great. Good job. I want you to copy whatever that thing is, but do the opposite. Okay, so look at it, think about it. I want you to copy it, but in the opposite way. And I'm going to leave it up to you what that means, what the opposite means. Okay, so you're going to look at it from a different point of view. You're going to process that in your mind and make something a little bit different. So the other thing that I want you to do is close your eyes. This is a separate exercise. Close your eyes, sort of turn around a little bit. And then when you open your eyes, I want you to recognize what shape is in front of you. It doesn't matter if it's a sewing machine or a light or a plastic bag or my iron or a pile of fabric or whatever it is. I want you to look at it and really look at the outline of that shape. I want you to do this for maybe 3 or 4 things. If you're stitching, you can use a piece of fabric and needle and thread, and I want you to recreate that outline. If you're drawing, then use a piece of paper and anything that you want to make the marks on the paper. It can be crayons, pencil, pen, it doesn't matter, okay? So for both of these things, I want you to try to put yourself in that feeling where things feel a little bit different. Remember, we've been doing the electrocution spirals while reciting the ABCs backwards, or try and do them at the same time, one at a time, doing them in different directions. Get yourself in that place where you do it from a slightly different point of view. Okay, do that homework. I'm going to put up a board on the Creativity from Almost Nothing, a Facebook page for session 4 as a place to put your homework. So tomorrow, see session 5, I will see you. Hopefully we'll be doing it live. And the value of collections is the topic. So that's something a little bit different. We have been creating a collection of drawings up until this point. So we're going to talk about that and the value of doing that. So until then, see you tomorrow. Happy drawing, happy stitching. Get to work and do that homework.